Bay De Verde branch line, as this section of railway track was known, was an extension of the Carbonear branch line. Opened in 1917, this branch line was 48 miles in length and had 20 stops listed along its route. Listed separately is the Great Cove branch, which had just 2 stops, Great Cove Junction and Great Cove. This information and the mile marker distances to each station plotted on this map are from a 1900 official guide index of Newfoundland railway lines. This Bay De Verde branch line was built by the Reed Newfoundland Company and was run by it up to 1923, at which time it was taken over by the government. After this takeover, the government, in an effort to save money on this less profitable line, limited service to a day coach, making 1 trip daily. The line was closed in the winter of 1930 and in 1931 was shut down permanently. A section of this line traced an earlier tramway from the Workington mine, just north of Lower Island Cove, to Old Perlican, and it spanned 7 miles. It's not hard to imagine an old steam locomotive making this trip down the shore. What a trip it must have been. Beautiful spring morning. Tim was up on the go quite early, buzzed on out to Carbonear here and on down, and we got together, got the old DRZ 400 on the go, and decided to start the old Conception Bay North Trailway right here in Carbonear. A little drive up along the coast, and we stopped in here in Carbonear, a local service station, to get some gas up the old bikes. And of course Tim went in and he couldn't resist a snack. Carbonear train station. This is where this whole trip begins, and the whole branch line actually begins from right here, the Carbonear Railway Station. In 1898, the tracks finally reached Carbonear right at this spot. There was a small station here for a number of years, but the present one was built and completed around 1917 or 1918. We're not quite sure. The line had 2 trains running daily from St. John's. The fare from Carbonear to St. John's was $2 first class and $1.20 second class. Half price for children under 12. What a spot. Anyway, off we go. This was our starting point and the starting point of the Bay De Verde branch line. Well, here's the Google Earth view showing the train track leaving Carbonear. Heads off into the west, loops back out around the north side of Carbonear and heads on down the shore. And again, we're going to start right here at the train station, downtown Carbonear. Kind of head south across the beach, turns into your right to go west and zips on in, and if you can see here, follow the cursor right in the middle, there's a Y. This upper track is the original 1898 track to Carbonear. The lower one, the Bay De Verde branch line, the one we're retracing today. This is our first lost section here, comes to a dead end. We've got to make a little detour up around this roadway. We hook up with the track back out a little ways. In trolling around the internet, we found this original mile marker document from the Railways Newfoundland. This was an invaluable tool to confirm some of the actual sidings and railway stops on this whole branch line. And it was a good tool, worked out for us. We could confirm a lot of the actual old railway stations using that and our mileage. Anyway, here's Little Island Brook there in the first trestle, and we zip on in. This is our first part of the old dirt. Here's the Y, the upper section being the 1898 section, the original one, and the lower one, the Bay De Verde branch line. And we just come up here on Route 70. We're going to stop here and have a look around. Watch for traffic, boys, when you're crossing the roads. Route 70, a lot of this Route 70 is actually reclaimed Bay De Verde branch line railway. So as you go down the shore, you head down northeast, and you're on the Route 70, there's a lot of sections of that are the actual train track. So if you're in your car, you're still going to do a part of this whole tour with us on the pavement. Anyhow, the lower section here is in good shape. The upper section is more widely used in Carbonear. The lower one, not so much, so it's in better shape. But you're going to get some water. And Tim Way loves water. Let me tell you, he's got his rubber boots on, point and shoot Tim, get the job done. This section just motors on in here, nice and smooth. Like I said, it's not worn out too much, not used a hell of a lot. Great trail ride for a bike. Well, as we get back in here to the west, we're about to make our loop down around to go back out on the North Hill in Carbonear. And this is where the first lost section is. It's a dead end. And I guess it's a dead end because it actually loops back over to a brook. I imagine when they actually pulled this train track back up around 1930, they probably pulled up the train trestles too. So, made it a pain because a lot of the locals, they couldn't really use that as a means to get around anymore. No bridge, no go. Anyway, we just got to do a little bit of a loop up around here. Here they are fixing the old pole lines in Carbonear, and we zip down here, and here's Dave White's rock wall. What a rock wall. What an effort. Good job, Dave. Looks great. I tell you, it's a testament that you can do anything if you put your mind and your back into it. It's not easy. Anyhow, we come back out on the line road and we zip out, and it's just a stone's throw out here, and we see where the train track loops back around. The original trestle is still there. And somewhere buried and grown in there is that little lost section of railway. Well, well, well. Anyhow, this is a great opportunity. Here's Tim. He whips out that camera like the old gunslinger he is. Always getting the pictures, buddy. Let me tell you. Well, this is the next section here. We just leave here. This section is kind of rough. It kind of heads back out northeast. A lot of wooded area here and pretty rocky. Well used. And it breaks out here and you get some great views of Carbonear. Well, let's get her on the go and get her done. Well, when you break out of the wood line there, you come right out on this beautiful south-facing vista. Beautiful. Look way out to Conception Bay, Carbonear Island, the whole Carbonear Valley, right back into the woods. Anyhow, coming out across here, we head north, and we come upon one of the second lost sections of this railway. We had to kind of skirt around here and get back on it, but as you can see, the railbed goes right back in through some farmland here, and it's never used and it wasn't accessible. So we kind of skirted around, as you can see if you follow the cursor on the screen. We hooked up back over here just north. This is a beautiful area of just off from Carbonear, a lot of farmland, some houses, cabins in here. Some people have used part of the railbed to access their property, as has been the norm over the years. Anyhow, we kind of headed north again, Tim taking up the rear, and off we go. This section of the track is well used between Carbonear and Victoria, so it's kind of washed out. There's a lot of rocks and a lot of water. Anyhow, the section that we're on stopped right here, and as you look right ahead, that's the lost section. And we'll zoom in here from Google Earth to give you a good view. So the main highway kind of running north in the center of your screen is Route 70, and here's the red we added is the lost section, so it goes right across Route 70. You can see Freshwater Station over to your right, and it loops right back around to the Freshwater Access Road. The yellow route is the route that we took. We kind of zipped around, gave Tim a tour as he's never been out in this area, and we took the scenic way. Anyhow, off we go. We've got to take this little trail here to get around, and the camera never does justice to the steepness of some of these trails. You know, the camera always kind of looks level, but no, this is kind of a steep section here, all full of boulders, a little challenging. No problem, the old bike's got up. Here we are kind of pointing out to Tim here, giving him an explanation of the area. Right up on top, and the railbed would have been down to the south of us here. And crossing Route 70. And right in here, the railbed would have went down to our right, and this would have been around where Freshwater Station would have been located, and the Freshwater Access Road, which we're on now, and right back to the railbed again. This was the section here that we would start again, heading back off in towards Victoria. And as you can see from Google Earth here, we're going to cross and going to head right back in around Victoria, out to Victoria Station, which a lot of people didn't realize there was a railway station here, and right on down to Samaco Station. Here we are just crossing Forest Pond Road. Another great lookout here. You can look back all the way down the shore where the railway track is heading. Kind of stopped here. Tim managed to take a little time to get in a small little rummage. Found a bit of old stuff there and boogied on in. We're just crossing the Swansea Road. And right in here, old Hawkeye Tim never misses a thing. He's cruising by on the old bike, you know, trying to keep it all upright, and lo and behold, he eyeballs a couple of moose right up there back in the woods. Incredible. I'll stop, get on the binders, and immediately break out the old cameras, and let's get some pictures. We didn't see a whole lot of wildlife on this trip, but we did see a couple of moose sightings and some other small furry creatures, and it was great. Tim always never ceases to amaze me how quickly he can break out that camera and capture an image. Really cool. And speaking of really cool, here's one of the bigger bridges that have been put back together. The old concrete remains of some of these bigger trestles right in here. This is Salmon Cove Brook, back in towards Swansea, Victoria. And we happened to just catch our old license plate here, which didn't really want to complete the trip. So Tim broke out one of the handy dandy tie wraps and sewed it back on. Just really didn't want to lose that. An extra expense we didn't want to have to incur. So tie wraps, handy thing to have. Off we go again. This trail is heading kind of east now, and you come out and again in sections the trail has been reclaimed or repurposed, and in this case in the back of Victoria there's a ball field. Nice and flat, great spot for a ball field. Now just out here now in this section here you will see on the map previously would have been Victoria Station. Victoria Station, mile marker 8.2 from Carbonear, right here, right before the Conception Bay Road. A lot of people don't know that, and there you go, got it in writing. Now right here, this building here would have been Salmon Cove Station, mile marker number 10. A lot of the locals would have known it as the Station Lounge. Back in its heyday, great spot to party. We just took a look around, recollected, and just kind of realized that from here on in, the track leaves, and it's not really used much at all. Pretty much that whole section you see goes along some south-facing cliffs. Beautiful section of track if you could ride it, but unfortunately it's all grown in right to that red line there, and this section here that you just see, that's the section that we did. That section is doable, and the yellow section is how we got up to join into that section. That's a pretty tricky trail, so we kind of had to go on down, take the Conception Bay Highway, kind of head northeast, and if you look over to your left, you will see evidence of the track. Now again, it is not passable, it's all grown in with alder bushes and whatnot, but what a beautiful section this would be to have opened up. And can you imagine seeing some old coal-fired locomotive huffing and puffing, man, cruising down the shore? What a sight to behold. Anyhow, there we go, just up the road a ways, and if you're just referring back previously to that map, we've found this trail here. Now this leads you up, quite steep. The camera really never does do it justice. Gonna head up and join up with the other section of the trail. The railway. Now as you can see, the old DRZ was the right tool for the job here. I mean, this was steep and it was rocky. Camera never does it justice. Tim got hung up here a few times on the old DR. A lot of boulders. You know, he kind of get tripped up over. Here's a good section, a good view of, you can see Tim kind of working his way up, picking his way up here. We're almost there. Right dead ahead up by that rock face is the railway. That section has been cleared back by some trailway enthusiasts. So off we go. The next section was even worse, and oh, sorry there, Tim Boy. A little bump and grind. Keep it going. We picked our way up. Just glad that it wasn't wet. That would have made it that much more greasy. And as you can see right here is where we were linking up with the railroad again. We just picked our way and got up on it. This section here was incredible. I mean, if we could only do this whole section like I previously said, it would be quite the view. There you go, looking back there, it's all grown in with alders, and oh boy, I'd like to do it someday. Maybe someone will clear it. So here's a little taste of what you would have got. This is the end of it again, and you can see you're looking down towards Salmon Cove and on northeast. Beautiful section of trail. I mean, to travel this by a train back in the day would have been incredible, to say the least. Pretty easy going on the bikes. This is not really worn in too much, not used hardly at all, just enough to keep it open. And at this point we kind of turn back more north, and we break out on the Conception Bay Road here, as you will see in a moment. A little stop, make sure we get all the bits and pieces, get all geared up, have a chat. A little rock cut here, and here's where you come out, right on the Conception Bay Road. Unfortunately, this part was reclaimed or repurposed to become part of the North Shore Conception Bay North Highway, as you can see here. And we'll draw it in. The Perry's Cove Station, right up here. At one time there was another nightclub there, I can remember. And at kind of backed in there a little bit, you can see from our map here, and then it zoomed all the way down, and all this here was railway, and it was repurposed to become a highway. And it's a great section of highway. Unfortunately, it's not railway, but anyone on any type of street bike, any motorbike would really enjoy this section of road. It winds, it's nice and fairly level, very small grade changes, of course. It's a railway, or was a railway. That kind of goes all the way back out around here, just skirts by the coastline. And the next stop would have been, let's see it, Upper Small Point Station. This section now, we were kind of getting lost again. We were kind of hunting around. We had some maps, so they didn't really clearly show at the time exactly where the railway kind of left the road here. We knew it was going to depart here somewhere, kind of head more northeast again. And we messed around, and eventually we found it. And there it is there, right to our right. So it was just off the highway. We just kind of missed it. It was kind of a little lost section. We came on back. Here you go. There you can see where we kind of lost it there, but that's a little lost section there. And you can see our yellow path is where we took, kind of looped it around, hoping to cross it, and we hooked up with it again. Oh, another little mistake here. It's kind of hard to tell where the track goes in these flat sections, but yeah, we got back on it. I think the road sign actually said Old Track Road or Track Road. A lot of communities actually have named the old track as Track Road or Track Street or Old Track or Station Road. So yeah, it kind of keeps you on the go. Slow-mo view. There you go. Old Track Road. And you can see right here on our right is a concrete barrier. A concrete barrier which would have been part of the train station. And this one is Broad Cove Station. And it's kind of remarkable. I mean, you know, here's a line that is 100 years old in 2015, and the concrete is still there, so you can tell exactly where the station was. Well back in from the coast. And, you know, at this point the sun started really coming out. Tim wanted to adjust the old suspension there, so break out some old tools. We certainly had a snack. I can't see us stopping without a snack. Off we go again. And certainly just down the road here, we came to another trestle. Now this would have been one of the highest trestles on this railway line. Beautiful. The sun was coming out. There was lots of water from the spring thaw. And what a gorgeous place. I mean, you just had to stop. You had to get off the bike. You had to go check this out. And luckily we had the old rubber boots on, because if you come to Newfoundland, wear your rubber boots. You're gonna get wet. So we just kind of walked on down here, and you know, sites like these are common in Newfoundland. You just got to get off the beaten trail, get out there, get mobile, and check it out. Great little waterfall here. I mean, this was the coolest, and just had to check it out. Get down there and leave the old GoPro running. Get some great views. Look at that. Tim was up there getting the old cameras going, flash, and I just had to get down. I was just, man, you know, if this was August and it was 20 degrees, you know where we'd be underneath that falls. Taking it in, checking it out. Beautiful day in Newfoundland. Cool, clean water. Unreal. There you have it. Broad Cove Brook Falls. Great spot. Tim thought that this old carcass here would make a nice seat cover, you know, kind of get rid of some of the old sore ass syndrome, but no, maybe not. Nice thought, thanks. Anyway, off we go. Just covering another trestle here, quite high, another brook, and the trail continues. And heading off here, our next stop would be Adams Cove, and this section was nice. Wasn't really rocky, as you can see. It was kind of a nice gravel surface on top, and it was a beautiful section to do, as you can see here, right on back from the coast, on some nice straight sections, right to Adams Cove Station. Adams Cove Station, mile marker number 20.3. This railway does cross some residential streets, so when you're boogieing along there, you best beware. Please slow down. There's residential areas, and you could end up causing an accident. Another brook and another well-constructed bridge. Thank you very much for the association that got together and repaired this trailway. Off we go. Keep her south and don't jam her. Getting out in front here, another beautiful straight section you can see for miles. And some signage to warn some of the trail users of some of the hazards that they could encounter. And here we are. That big long section ends up right here. Adams Cove Station. And there's still evidence of the station. Incredible. 100 years old. 2015. And there's still evidence. From Adams Cove Station, you zip on and you cross the Conception Bay Highway, route number 70, loop back into Western Bay Station. Well, here we go. Cruising on down and about to cross Route 70, Conception Bay North Highway. Taking our time to look both ways and across we go. Beautiful section here. Hardly any rocks at all. All nice soil, running nice by the old quads. Zipping in across the beautiful barrens in behind Western Bay. There goes Mr. Tim. Station Road, Western Bay. And here you have a beautiful preserved example of a Newfoundland railway station. Designed and built by the Reed Newfoundland Company. This is one of the few remaining railway stations in Newfoundland. And one of only two on this Bay De Verde branch line. One being Carbonear and the other being this one, Western Bay. As you can see right across here, this is another lost section of the railway. We kind of cruised on in here, left, and you can see the railway doesn't take any sharp turns, so it generally kind of goes where it points, and it pointed right across. And we went in here, and lo and behold, I'm shaking my head. No, this is a driveway. So this part of the railway was claimed as a driveway. Anyway, just down the road here a bit, off to our right, and a little dirt road. Kind of know where it's going, and we hook back up. So this next section here goes in behind Western Bay, head around, in over a hill, back on in, right on down to Ochre Pit Cove. And this was, again, a nice section, a long section, actually, between Western Bay and Ochre Pit Cove. Western Bay being at mile marker number 21.8, and Ochre Pit Cove, 25.8. Off we go, boogieing on down. Sun was out. Another little brook here in behind Western Bay. And here you go. Here's a map. You see that little brook there? We actually identified that brook right in behind Western Bay. So, off we go. The old railway here, you can see some rock cuts and great section. Again, a great job done by the local, couple of little holes here, so kind of got to be careful when you're scooting around. Again, this railway is not regularly maintained, so one has to be pretty vigilant about, washouts, potholes, and certainly bridges. Tim was leading up the old thing here, leading up the head, boogieing on down, getting into some residential areas, and we decided to stop off here. Here's an old root cylinder, and what a vantage point this was. And check this out, what a treat. Some icebergs. So again, at this point we're just in behind Western Bay, and we're looking out across the northeast section of Conception Bay. And this particular year, this was in the spring of 2014. This would have been May, I do believe. And 2014 was a record year for icebergs in around Newfoundland. So Real nice treat. Get some great pics and away to go. Anyway, get the old bikes back on the railroad there. This would have been a dump at one time. Lots of old tin cans, not much to rummage. The old plate seemed to be hanging on. Tim was all good to go. Get back on your horse, he says. Get back on your horse. And let's get going. Yeah, some locals out on some quads there. The boys graciously stepped aside. Let us power on through. A beautiful section of the trail here. Look at those, the trees, the big tall trees. Some nice little meadows. It was just a great day. Well, that was a great little ride. Just past Ochre Pit Cove Station, and this is where things get a little kind of mixed up. We spent some time kind of hunting around, trying to find this little section here of the railway. And it's kind of cool that this section here, you follow the cursor, is kind of lost. Right back here, this is a part, it's actually part of a road. And this section here is in the park, Northern Bay Sands Park. And right here is the famous Hogan's Takeout. Right across in front of Hogan's, and again, you follow the cursor back in there. That was another lost section, so this kind of, the track here is kind of messed up. Anyway, back across the road, and obviously we found this section here. You can just see me heading off. Tim kind of, he took off a little bit further down the road here and cut in, and we did find this section of the railway, but it came to a dead end. It was all kind of growed in, and at this point our maps, they weren't really showing us where to go. Tim ran into a dead end, and he got the old DR in four-wheel drive mode here and powered back up. So we couldn't really find this section, so we went back the road. Thought that maybe it would have cut off to the left here. We kind of went back up this trail searching. You know, sometimes there's a great way to intersect the railway. You usually cross it on some of these trails. We really didn't. Kind of got back in here and shaking the old head. No, I think not. At this point, we were certainly getting a little grumble in the old stomach there. I'm sure Tim was. The old hunger was starting to manifest itself, and you know, it's getting time to stop. This was definitely around lunchtime. Break back out on Route 70. Kind of disappointed that we didn't find the old train track at this point, so we continued on down. We decided to stop to Hogan's. Hogan's, famous for their takeout. Hogan's chips, yes sir, and a little piece of the old fish. Great little munch. Got ourselves situated, back on the go. Well, as we can see now, we kind of traced out with Google Earth where the railway track would have continued. We went on down the road, crossed up here, found the railway track, and double backed. Right in around here, zipped back out. The old Google Earth is a great tool to locate some lost trails and roads and what have you. So this section here, as you can see, the cursor movement is a lost section, and there it is, growed in, wet and boggy. It's easy to see why it wouldn't probably be used by the locals. Again, it was just wet, didn't really accomplish much for those guys. We went into the end of it. Again, we were committed to doing the whole section, and this it was a rough place to turn around. The old DR kind of got hung up on a boulder there. We kind of had to get up close and give Tim the old pluck out there. Jamming in gear, Tim. Give her bickies. And that DR is a great bike. Great tool to do some roads, be it paved, be it dirt, be it nothing at all. That bike will accomplish it. Anyway, the old knobby gets hooked up, and real wet section here. Tricky. You got to be careful in some of these muddy sections. There could be some Some poles, some trees down there can trip you up. It's quite slippery, but a bit of mud is always fun. Get her done. Anyway, just on down here, this is a brook that pours right out in Northern Bay Sands. Beautiful brook, beautiful trestle crossing here again. Get a couple of pictures and off we go. Heading on down, heading to Northern Bay, and this is one point. Tim caught a bit of air, glanced off a rock, and he saved it. Crashed through a little tree there. The old Tim boy, he's one with the old DR, I tell you. He can handle that bike. Great job there, Tim. Anyway, a little bit down here, we decided to stop here and get a few pictures. Another beautiful vantage point. Well, as you can see on the old Google Earth view, kind of zipped out along this south-facing hill, stopped. We had to stop because what a spot, what a view. You can see the backside of the church there in Northern Bay. Icebergs right out across the northeast out Conception Bay and right on down along the side of this hill. Beautiful, beautiful views on this whole section of the trailway. You can't help but stop and grab some pictures. Unreal. Well, from there we zipped on down along right to Burnt Point Station. And this section of the trail, again, was nice. We're kind of back up on the high country here. Another big trestle on the end of this pond as it turns into a brook. The day was great. You know, the sun was out and it was nice. It was probably just damp enough. There wasn't any dust at all, as you can see. Really good. Burnt Point Station, mile marker 30.4. From there we zipped on out across the side of this hill again, heading back to Job's Cove siding. This was a nice section of the trail, I must say. It was kind of back from the ocean a bit. You know, the trailway was, you know, good sections, bad sections. It was just an interesting ride. You're kind of back in some of the hills. There's some kind of farmland, some pasture land. And right here we had a little stop, Burnt Point Rest Stop. Another great vantage point to take in these icebergs. And man, the bay was littered. Tim decided here it was time to change out the old footwear. We had cell service, so we made a couple of calls. Tim was checking out some of the rocks that he brought up on earlier. The old plate was hanging on. The old bikes were doing good. Fuel wasn't a problem. And good to go. Looking forward to this next section, man. This was just going out around this headland here. And, you know, you had icebergs, you had sun, you had snow. One thing we didn't expect was snow. I mean, again, it was in it's early spring. But, yeah, this was an interesting change of events. Anyway, Tim powered on through, get up over the bit. The snow was kind of hard-packed, and this was left from a hard winter. I decided the more direct approach there, and the old DR, yeah, the old mountain goat hopped over it. Great stuff. Bit of snow, bit of fun. Always a laugh. Great spot, great time to get a couple of pictures, and yeah, good to be done. Anyway, we're going to keep on keeping on. Job's Cove siding, mile marker number 32.1. A lot of people might not know of Job's Cove siding. It's kind of back up this river here from Job's Cove. As you can see, a little river, and we were looking for a siding. We really couldn't see one, even with the help of Google Earth here. There is a little kind of a road that goes around the river there by that trestle. Looks like a siding, but we couldn't find it. Anyway, shortly up the road, beautiful little stretch of the trail in behind Job's Cove, we kind of come to a impassable part of the railway. And anyway, we couldn't really get up here. It was really wet, a lot of bog, didn't look quite passable. With the help of Google Earth, you can see where it actually goes. We double back this roadway, found another trail, as you can see here, and linked up with the trail way again. Anyway, beautiful vistas up here. You can look all over the place. Really getting up on the high ground here. Probably pretty much the highest terrain on this whole section of the Avalon Peninsula. Look down in the valley. You can see the trailway there as it outlined in the terrain. We cut down one section here where we thought we could link up with it, but looked like there was some ATV use on it at some point in time, but too wet for our bikes. This being the spring of the year, a lot of water. We passed it up. Found another trail heading in the general direction, and it was kind of rough, well used, and it was wet. You always got to watch these wet sections because you don't know what's underneath. You don't know if it's boulders, how deep it is, what's going to happen. That's always a little bit of anxiety when you go over here. And it could be fun, especially if somebody goes bottom up in the water. But it didn't happen this day. We just kind of powered on. We had a lot of riding to do ahead of us. It's always a bit of a challenge, to some of these wet sections. But as long as you got your rubber boots on, you're good to go. That's an essential part of your motorcycling equipment in Newfoundland is waterproof footwear. You better wear it. Anyway, just down over this hill here, we can see the trailway off to our left, north of us. And a little few more water crossings here, and we would be back on it. That's the name of the game in Newfoundland railways, water. Any place that they're well worn in, you're going to get water. Lots of it. Back on the trail, looking back, you can see a lot of water in that section there. Would have been quite a challenge to keep that passable by trains. A lot of hard work to build this railway. Anyhow, off we go. Well, before long we come to another water section, which was filled with these wooden slick logs running in the same direction that we were. Yeah, this was probably the most challenging section of any trail that I've ever ridden on. Luckily, it didn't last long, and we didn't crash, so that's all great. Little ways down further, still wet as it kind of rolled down over this slight grade, but before long, bang, here we are back into a perfect piece of trail. And that brought us right on down. Beautiful last little few sections until we come into Lower Island Cove Station. Lower Island Cove Station, mile marker 34.6. And as again, you can still see some of the concrete retaining wall still evident after these 99 or 100 years of existence. And right now it's reclaimed by part of the town. And some houses built around it. Lovely spot. Anyway, the next section would bring us from Island Cove Station back up through this valley here, right up to Cape and Cove Station. Well, off we go along this section of the railway, and not far down, we came to a fork in the road. And in the making of this little documentary here about the railway, we came to discover the Workington Iron Mine. And this was an iron mine. It was discovered way back in the 1800s. It was opened in 1898 and was abandoned in 1901. And this was part of the reason why the whole branch line was built to Bay De Verde. They utilized a section of this railway. Now, as you can see here on our Google Earth view, the blue line is the Workington Railway line. 7 miles constructed from the iron mine in behind Lower Island Cove, right to Old Perlican, where they were going to use it as a shipment point for the ore. Well, that whole enterprise didn't last long. It was abandoned, like I say, in 1901 and closed up shop. But a good section of that railway that they built was taken over and used by the effort of the Reed Newfoundland Company. Great stuff. Anyhow, next problem that presented itself on this section of the trail was snow. Loads of snow, and it kind of all stopped us right in our tracks. It didn't really look good. At this point, we kind of had to get off the old horses and kind of what are we going to do? We're going to go back. We're going to try to get through it. Well, we still had some time and looked like a bit of fun, so we said, yeah, let's try it. Get the old DRZ up, being lighter. We got Tim behind, and away to go. That snow is really packed down, drifted quite high. I'd say in some places it was 4 or 5 feet high. And the old DRZ motored on through. Nice light. The old knobby was hooked up. Best kind. Tim had a small heart attack, but wasn't so bad for me. I kind of did pretty good. Anyhow, next up was the old DR, and I tried the same technique to kind of get behind and push, and it didn't work quite so well. The DR is quite a bit heavier than the DRZ, and as you can see, it dug a hole. So we decided to resort to a trick that we've used to get the bikes through some difficult spots in the past, the old two-guy riding. I'm on one side operating the clutch, Tim's on the other side operating the gas, jam it in gear and away to go. And I tell you, that was a long slug. You had to be pushing, lugging, getting that old bike across. But you know, we did it. We didn't know how much more snow we were going to encounter, but we got across this section. Hopefully we weren't going to go back. I just walked away to have a small heart attack of my own. Get some wind back in me, but yeah, luckily we just a couple more small sections, and look at this beautiful trail out ahead of us. Straight, dry, and smooth. And this right over to our left, certainly north, would have been the Workington Railway line, which at the time we didn't know, but it was perfect, beautiful trail. And we just motored on up here, and all of a sudden I caught something out of the corner of my eye. Moose. A couple of more moose. Tim was gone. I don't know how Tim missed it. He must have been thinking about food, but he missed it. Anyway, break out the old camera, zoom in. Two beautiful big moose. All I saw were moose sausages, but yep, two moose. And actually, if you look across, and if you note when I was zooming in there, you can see somewhat of a line across the hillside, and that is the Workington Railway line. Anyway, great stuff, got some footage. Tim was kind of wondering where I was. Gave him the news, got some pictures of the old moose, turned around, and off we go again. Well, in scouring the internet for information about this little documentary, you found this schedule from the Reed Newfoundland Company, way back in the day. Right in the middle of your screen, Bay De Verde branch line. Train leaves Carbonear at 3:45 p.m., arrives Greats Cove 55 miles at 8 p.m., and heads all the way back to Carbonear. Perfect stuff. Here we are at the Capelin Cove station, right kind of in the middle of the peninsula, and you can still look out to the east and see some of the many icebergs that littered the bay. Tim got the old Capelin Cove up here on the old GPS. Great tool to have. And off we go. So as you can see from the Google Earth view, right on the bottom, Capelin Cove Station, Lead Cove Station, and Old Perlican Station. The Lead Cove Station being the first stop on the Trinity Bay side. Anyway, a couple of car wrecks. You always see those in Newfoundland from time to time. They're getting scarcer. They're still out there somewhere. Beautiful section of the trail. Nice big wide open spaces. We're kind of up on the top of the peninsula here. And a beautiful trestle crossing. I'll say beautiful at one time, but somebody in all their wisdom decided to cut off part of the rail. Well, well, well. Some other people's children. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, what a mess. They could have easily cleaned it up or maybe even burned it. But, oh well. Anyway, off we go. Sun was shining. A little bit of water to keep it interesting. And some flat sections. Motor on and enjoy the day. Well, this was the end of the off-road section of the train tracks, right here at the intersection with Highway 80. This would be the Lead Cove Junction, MOA marker 39.8. And at this section, the railway is basically claimed by the highway, and it was a short ride east towards Old Perlican. We pulled in here at the Irving, hoping to get a quick bite to eat, and it was getting kind of late in the day. Had a look out over Old Perlican and came around the corner, and there's good old Uncle Paul. Captain Paul, out for a ride on his Harley. It was a beautiful day, a lot of the guys getting out and just enjoying the road. Beautiful day. Well, unfortunately we didn't get to complete the whole section right to its namesake, Bay De Verde. Most of this section has actually been reclaimed by the highway. So it was late in the day and we kind of chickened out. We decided to head on back to Carbonear. We'll come back someday and ride these sections. All this is paved, and it is a beautiful section of roadway. Anybody on a motorcycle would be quite enjoy this. Go to Greats Cove, had a look around out there, or go right to Bay De Verde. Beautiful Newfoundland areas. You should check it out.